When we left you at our last video, we were camping at a place called Legends. It's a backpacker place that has a few spots for campers. Really nice and chill vibe. Well, we're still there. To be honest, we'll probably be here a couple of days. It's a rainy season here right now, so a lot of rain going on. But the sun is shining right now. We're gonna walk across the street. Oh, Curt, there's the red-winged bird, the lorry. Hey, right above the power line and the purple tree, sitting on the branch.
Oh, I see him.
Sorry guys, we'll always stop for cool birds. But anyway, we're gonna walk across the street where they got a cool little market area with a few little restaurants, and we're gonna grab some lunch. So let's go see what we can find. We should have shared. Thank you. We had no idea that those meals were going to be so huge. We could have easily shared one, but it was delicious. He smokes his meat there. It was like a little taste of barbecue, southern barbecue from home. But we're making the short walk back to the van, and we have lots of leftovers. So don't worry, we didn't eat all that food.
Holds for us, but I know where we've been. Coast to coast, sun and snow, it's all gold to us, and it don't matter in the end. Hey, hey, what a beautiful day. For us, they sing songs so sweet. No. Close our eyes, feel the light from the sun on us. May never leave. Hey, hey, what a beautiful day. What a beautiful day. What a thing to be alive like me. Oh, what a thing to say. Hey, hey, what a world we see. What a life we lead. What a beautiful day. Hey, hey. What a beautiful day. Hey, hey. What a beautiful day. What a beautiful day.
Good morning. We are still just hanging out here at the Legends Backpacker Lodge. Just still getting our stuff in order. Stuff's starting to come together.
Hanging out with the monkeys.
We're almost at a point where we can start sharing our plans. We're not quite there yet, but it's coming, I promise. But one thing we needed to do, because we do have to go back to South Africa. That is our next country. And to do that, we had to get the pet paperwork from Eswatini. You have to get something called a movement permit. And it's basically where they just check the cats, check the vaccines, and make sure everything's good. You pay a small fee, and I just went in here, and they were very kind. The first man walked me right to the office I needed to be at, and that man just stopped what he was doing and helped me. It took about 15 minutes. We didn't even have to take the cats inside. He was nice enough to walk out to the van to look at the cats, so that was really cool. I paid 50 Rand for both cats, which I would say is about $2.50, $3, something like that. So super low fee, and we leave here with our paperwork. So the cats are now legal to leave Eswatini and go back to South Africa, which is not happening today. We're here a little bit longer, but this paperwork is good for 10 days. So there you go. That is done.
Life is beautiful, whichever way I choose it. One dress, it unfolds, no matter how I see it. Turning pages in different stages. Going through changes. I'm going through changes. I go through the phases. I'm going through changes. Watch it bloom, begin to grow. Seasons turning. Don't know why time moves slow. Things are changing. I'm turning pages in different stages. I'm going through changes. I'm going through I'm going through changes.
Our heads are just spinning, and they have been for days. And it's not that we're second guessing our decision to leave Africa. Not for a second. From the time we made that decision, it was like the decision was made for us. But normally, when we're finished with a country or a chapter, we kind of always have the next chapter in mind. And this was so abrupt that we didn't even think about it. And when we first started van life, one of the number one questions our friends and family asked is, how long is it going to take? And our answer was always, we don't know. We've never done this, but we think it might be 10 to 12 years. And we really didn't know, and we were fine with that. And also, we didn't know what it would look like when we decided we weren't going to do van life anymore. And well, we're shipping the van back to the United States. And so what does that mean for the next chapter of our lives? That's why our head's been spinning. And what I can share with you right now is that we are leaving Eswatini. We're headed back to South Africa to cross the border. We should be there in about another hour. We're driving through the beautiful mountainous countryside, but we got to get the van to the shipping warehouse where we're going to put it on a ship and ship it back. So as we go, we're going to kind of walk you through what this thing's going to look like. Oh, you get camera shy now.
You're such a pretty boy.
What you doing, big boy?
Well, Curt told you the big news. We are shipping the van back to the United States. After that, there's still a lot of unknowns, but one thing we do know is step one is getting us, the cats, and the van back into South Africa. Now, we are closer to the border. We still probably have about 30 minutes or so to go. We're making a beautiful windy drive through the mountains of Eswatini, seeing the countryside, the small towns, the valleys. It is a small country, but it is a pretty country. Now, there are some border butterflies that are kicking in for this border because the amount of time you can stay in South Africa at one time as a citizen from the United States, and this is for a lot of citizens around the world, is 90 days. That's pretty clear cut. But there's some gray areas on how long you need to be gone before you can return. No matter how hard we try, we cannot get a definitive answer on that. And the next question is, if they do let us back in, will they give us enough time to do everything we need to do? Now, you hear stories of some people coming back in and having to kind of convince them to let them back in, and they only give them a 7-day transit visa. That is not good enough for us because, in case you don't know, shipping a van international from one continent to another is not something that you just drive up to the ship and hand over your van and it's all done. There are a lot of complicated logistics and custom requirements and certified shipping agents and on the ground. It's a big deal. It's not something that happens in 7 days. We also hear of people that drive up to the border and they give them another 90 days, which would be fantastic because then we have zero worries. But we will not know until we get there. I have all the paperwork ready to show them on my computer in case we have to convince them of what we're doing and that we need more than 7 days. But this border and the amount of time they give us has some serious implications. And that's making me more nervous than normal for a border. So I wanted to fill y'all in on that. This border is something that we've kind of been nervous about ever since we started laying the groundwork for shipping the van back home. Because if they don't let us back in, then we have to completely regroup again. And we don't want to do that.
And on the positive side of staying at that camp spot like we did, is the cats got plenty of walks.
Yeah.
And the cats were reminded why they love van life. And although some of the bumpy roads, they get a little annoyed, and they're done with van life too, but they got some really good walks. They got to see the monkeys,
Yeah.
which they're so like, what are those things? They're so,
They're so cute.
Curious. They don't know. And I think they've decided that they don't really like them. But anyway, it was just really kind of time we needed to sort things out.
Yeah, it was good. It was nice. So that's the update on how long we stayed in Eswatini, way longer than expected. But what are we, about 25 minutes? 36 minutes from the border, guys. Getting closer. You'll cross your fingers.
Good news. We made it back to South Africa. We crossed the border, and I will tell you, it was fairly simple. Eswatini is a country, maybe one of the most underrated countries that we've been to. It's a small country, and we didn't do much there because we weren't feeling adventurous and we were problem solving. But nonetheless, a beautiful country with super easy borders, organized. It was like a minute or two at the border there.
They still checked their stuff and did their job, but they had a system and they were friendly while they were doing it.
Yeah, it was really, really nice. Our experience in Eswatini was so good. But we are now headed to our camp spot, which is, so let me tell you, there is a lot of steps to preparing the van. Snow kind of touched on all the logistics stuff, but we also have to physically prep the van. And so we've rented an Airbnb to do that. It's just outside of Durban where we're shipping the van in another town. So the problem is we couldn't get into the Airbnb for a few days. So we're gonna head to a campground. Then tomorrow we're gonna get on to our Airbnb destination. We'll have to stay in a campground there for a few days while we wait till our Airbnb becomes vacant. And then the big transformation begins.
And one thing, guys, if you've been with us the whole time, you have been through 2 shippings with us already. When we shipped from Panama to Colombia, and when we shipped from Argentina to Belgium. Those, we were there the entire time. We drove the van to the port and turned it over to customs. We were there and present for the customs inspections. So if the officer wanted to see anything, Curt was there and was able to maneuver the locks of the system and pull out a box. We're doing it differently this time. We will be taking the van and dropping it off at the shipping agent's warehouse, probably signing over some paperwork that gives them the authority to take it to the port, deal with the customs inspections, and get it put on the ship. And that is because we will be gone. We will not be in South Africa. That stuff's still all in the works, but we knew that we wouldn't be able to stay as long in South Africa as we would need to do all of that. And we were correct. At the border, she gave us till, I think she gave us 28 days. So that's what we got, and we're thankful for that because it's enough to do what we need to do. But that means that the prep work we have to do on the van will be even more than before, because everything needs to be organized in kind of a system. So if there is a thorough customs inspection, the agent is not thrown into the deep end. Everything is ready for it to be as easy as possible. So the stress of this shipping will happen ahead of time because we won't be dealing with customs, but we need to have the van as ready as it can be.
So, I don't think we'll get to the shipping stage of the van in this video. Maybe we'll start prepping, I'm not sure. We'll see how the cookie crumbles, but we're gonna take you along the entire way. Just gonna take us a little while to get this done.
And we didn't do the official welcome back to South Africa, one of our favorite countries.
Fingers crossed this is one last adventure for us. I said this is our last adventure, and Snow reminded me that we're not there yet.
Well,
but
and when he says adventure, he means bad road in the van. There's gonna be many more adventures.
yeah. The road here, we're on a detour. Let me start over. We're on a detour, and it's bouncy and bumpy. It's not too bad. Really, the reality is it's not a long detour. But we've been in South Africa for a while. The roads have not been too bad in general, and but we've been coming through forest area, and there's a lot of eucalyptus trees. There's a couple big, huge sawmills or lumber plants or what have you, and the trucks are just beating the snot out of these roads. I'm sure that's why we're on a bypass right now, getting around that other piece that's under construction. Anyway, things are going well. We're just happy that we made it through the border. We kind of been reflecting on that. another box checked in what is going to be a complex process in the coming days. So anyway, we'll be fine on these little bumpy roads.
This dust stormed us. We're halfway.
Thought he was holding something up, but maybe he wasn't. Oh, maybe it is into the shit road right here. I don't want to get out in front of myself, but guys, it looks like we made it. Yay!
And just in time, because big giant raindrops are starting to land on the windshield. I would not have wanted to be on that road with it raining hard. Let's see how this road's going to be.
It looks like it's paved. This is the market. What's the boxer store? What's going on over there? The boxer.
Or maybe the bus just went out or something.
There's a lot of activity over at the boxer. Watch this guy. What's that, dude? There's a lot of boxing going on. He's just. It's kind of like the market. That's the corn lady. I think this is the market, that's all it is. This is the market. Yeah.
Smells good over there.
Yeah, it sounds like some good food.
I don't have the nerve to eat it, but it smelled good.
What is today? It's just a happening town. There's no other way to describe it. It's a hip hop happening town. Lines everywhere. What's today? I think tomorrow's a holiday.
Today's Tuesday.
I think tomorrow's a holiday. The guy said you got in here before the holiday. So
Maybe school lets out.
yeah.
That'd be awful early.
G always comes up and lets us know whenever we're almost here. And he just gave us the little notice. We're 1 minute away, pulling into our camp spot. It was a fairly decent ride. We did a couple bad spots, little stretches chasing some potholes, but overall nothing too bad. We made it more than half of the way, so good timing. And yeah, we're gonna just get settled in and give my boy a little break. There's a possibility we might get here before it's rained, so you can get a moment with the door open, but man, it's gonna be close, Bubba. Yeah.
There it goes.
Vanna. We made it to our campsite just in the nick of time. If you guys can see, a big storm has kind of come up here. We've been watching the clouds all day. We've gotten in a little bit of rain here and there, but the wind has picked up some pretty strong gusts, driving rain, lots and lots and lots of lightning. But we are settled into our camp spot. It's a really beautiful place. There's some water and some lily pads and some trees. It looks like a really nice place to stay. I don't know if I'll be able to show you. Maybe if it clears up in the morning, I'll get out there. But we've got goals, and we will be leaving in the morning, getting on the road. So if we don't see you before then, we'll see you on the road in the morning. What you doing, G? Rabbits are running all around us, buddy. All around us. Look at this. You better check this out, G. There are rabbits everywhere, buddy. What you doing, Bubba? What you doing? Coffee ready yet? Is it ready? I'll walk around to the door.
Okay, then it'll be ready.
So last night when we pulled into this campsite, I mean, right after we got here and got settled in, it just busted out raining, storming, and all that stuff. But even though it was raining, I was able to keep the door open, and the rabbits were hanging out under the trees around us, and I tossed out a little bit of seed that I had left for the birds, and that girl got to sat there and watch the bunnies and the birds, and she was racing around and she was so happy. But I really couldn't get her out because of the rain. And this morning, both her and G were just both staring at me. They both wanted to get out in here. But G honestly napped a lot through yesterday when she was having so much fun. And he wasn't super fascinated with this place when we took a walk a little bit earlier. I mean, don't get me wrong. That boy enjoys getting outside, and he was doing just fine. But this one right here, she is in heaven. And she's come down to the pond. She's walked down the stairs, and she kind of leads the way. And she's come down to this pond where there's ducks, there's geese, there's swans, and there's little flowers and irises and all kinds of other cool flowers and green plants and rocks to climb on. And she's just kind of led me through this morning, and it is beautiful. And how fitting that this is our last sort of walk while living in a van. And it's a bit nostalgic, and Snow got a little teary-eyed this morning when she got up, and we just kind of thought about it. And I haven't been hit that hard by it yet, but I certainly do feel a little tugging on my heart. And it's been a great run. And these little kitties don't get the credit they deserve. They, I think they've now been in 54 countries. One of the things I want to check one of these days is I feel like they got to be close to the world record in terms of number of countries for traveling kitties. And they've just been such troopers along the way. In a lot of ways, they've done better than us. But they roll with the punches just like us. And it's been an adventure. And I cannot imagine having this adventure without them. She does. She just chased one. She doesn't see rabbits very often, but she knows what they are. And like, these ones are big, so they're bigger than her.
All right, guys. First, there are zero regrets in the decisions we're making. But if you followed our journey, you know I'm a crier. And this is the very last flag that will ever be put on this van. And to be quite honest, it's a bit of an emotional morning for me. And I didn't really realize it until last night when we rolled into this camp. And I know Curt's talked about it a little bit, so I won't beat it up, but this is a really big milestone, guys. Van life and this guy, it's over. Before we leave this campsite this morning, we're doing our first task of getting the van ready to be put on a cargo ship. Now this is going to be a week-long process. There's a lot we have to do. But the first thing we need to do is you can't put the van on a ship with diesel in these tanks. They have to be empty. So Curt is going to take the diesel out of our storage cans and put it into the van. And on that note, when we pull this thing up to the customs warehouse, it needs to be as empty as it can on fuel. Once we do this, we will get on the road. We got about 2.5 hours to our Airbnb, where we'll be staying for a few days while we do the rest of the prep work. So this afternoon we'll be moving out of the van. Got a couple of errands to run along the way. But that's where we're at, guys. Prepping the van to go home, all the way back to the United States.
If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit that notification bell so you guys know when we put out new videos. And don't forget, you can always follow us over on Instagram to see what's going on in between videos. Cheers, guys!